So what we do have here at Beyond the Podium is our very own leadership framework, our model. The model is based on a culmination of my learning over more than 3 decades of performance coaching in the world of elite sport and business. And what I wanted to do was provide users with a solid framework that I knew that would cover each and every stage of the strategic planning process when taking on any challenge or trying to overcome a problem, that you could do it full of confidence that you've covered every aspect. So FIREPROOF is an acronym which for each stage in the planning process. And the F, of course, stands for frame the situation. It doesn't matter whether you're an individual, a team, or an organisation. Some people believe that everybody knows where it is they need to be. Everybody knows exactly what they want to achieve. And they may think they do. They may actually do. But very, very often, they have no idea. They don't even believe there's a reason to change. So I think the first stage of any coaching intervention is to help somebody to establish a real clarity over where they are now, the reality of their current situation. The next stage, of course, is what we call identifying the hazards. The reason this is important, it helps us to prioritise or give us a real reason to consider change or to do something immediately. Hazards are the things that can cause you harm. And I think on a basic level, we need to think about that as physiological harm. That means our people, the business's people. It might be machinery, it might be the load, it might be customers, real physical stuff. The next one, of course, is what we call emotional harm. And very often this is about relationships and how we manage relationships. It could be about mental harm, and we know this is a massive problem, and it's a real problem, and it will be with you now. So we should look at the mental harm and the amount of load that people and your teams and the organisation is carrying. And the last one, of course, is about economics. At the end of the day, profit and loss matters, right? Or actually delivering a service to the highest standard with a limited amount of funds. So we do have to look at the economic hazards. When we've done that, of course, the next stage of is the R, and that's to risk assess each and every one. The risk is the likelihood that any of these will actually happen. That will help us prioritise which one we deal with first. What are we trying to do when we're taking a risk-preferred approach? We're trying to either completely eliminate either the hazard or the likelihood of it happening, or the absolute least, we're going to try and minimise it to any considerable effect that it might have on us. Then, of course, the E. With the information we've now got, we've got to evaluate our options. What are the options available to us right now? What could we do instantly to maybe halt something from happening? What could we do instantly to get a quick win? What could we do instantly to start to prepare for the future, etc.? Evaluate your options. Of course, we're going to look at what we've got around us, the people in the team, the resources, etc., etc. When we've done that, I think the reality is what I've always done when I've took on a business or I've took on a person and we're working towards a specific goal, I've got to be honest with myself and say, do I have all the knowledge, all the skills and all the experience to deliver this on my own? Of course not. Who has? So the reality is, what people will we need? And when we talk about the people, I don't mean friends or the names. I mean what people, what skills do they need? What experience do they need? What expertise do they need? And that's how you create your team. Look at the specific roles that you need in your team and then establish absolute clarity around the responsibility and expectations of each of the roles. Then, of course, we're looking at the R, and that's about resources. Now, that's a big list, right? That could be equipment, that could be policies, procedures, it could be, of course, the money available to us, equipment, etc., etc. So we need to really consider what are the resources that we will need to deliver this change. Then, of course, when we have the people, when we know what we're going to do, we have all the resources available to us. Nobody stumbles across greatness. That's it. I say it all the time. So we have to organise. Yeah, that's the O. We have to organise all of this stuff into a strategic action plan. What are we going to do? When are we going to do it? With what? And who's responsible? Like any good plan, we can't just leave it to roll. What we do need to do is the second O, and that means we need to observe the implementation of that plan. And then of course that brings us to the F. Part and parcel of the observation of that plan is to feed back to everybody involved of the progress. Is this working? Do we have the right people? Have we got enough resources? And are we using them effectively? Is the mechanical efficiency of the people and the resources absolutely going to deliver the success for us? If not, we feed back to the system, we go back through the model, fireproof, and we review it and we make the changes we need to. And when we're making changes, be bold, because bold is what's required ultimately to take on some of the biggest challenges and get a result.